People think that marriages break down due to just cheating, one big fight, or a dramatic exit point. But that's very comforting to believe because this narrative makes you think that it's not going to happen to us. But the truth is, most marriages just don't end abruptly. It actually ends with a slow snowballing of things accumulating over a period of time until one fine day, one or the other person exits the whole relationship. But it was a build up happening over a long period of time. And the chances are, if you are here watching this video, it's probably not just out of curiosity, but maybe somewhere you also feel okay, is my marriage going in the right direction or not? And in this video, we are going to talk about what are the 5 stages in which a marriage actually starts breaking down so that you can even identify which stage are you in. Or even better, you can prevent these stages from happening all at once. So if you're new here, I'm Vesh and I'm a men's coach and I help men heal with their traumas, attachment issues and wounded masculinity in order for them to pursue meaningful connection with women. Now, if you want to work with me, you can find all the links in the description box below. Now, without any further ado, let's get into the video and talk about what the stage 1 of a marriage breakdown is. The stage 1 that happens when a marriage breaks down is emotional drift. And stage 1 is the most dangerous part of all because it feels harmless. It feels as if there's no big fight or as if there's no crisis happening as well. It looks like things are going fine, but not so fine too. But there's nothing evidently wrong in the marriage as well. But let me ask you this question. When was the last time you actually felt emotionally met by this person? Not just acknowledged or not just updated about their whereabouts, but actually met. And when was the last time you felt emotionally connected with your partner and shared a deep moment out of physical intimacy as well? And in this stage, conversation actually turns efficient, practical, functional, but there is no deep emotional conversation happening to glue you guys together or to make even the relationship more stronger. And let me ask you this question as well. If you're going to be okay with your marriage staying in this manner for the next 5 years, is that going to affect any one of you? Or, in fact, is that going to affect both of you as well? Or would this even lead to the breakdown of the marriage in itself? Because emotional drift is not something that gets resolved by itself. It needs to be addressed, or else it becomes the baseline of the marriage before it starts proceeding into stage 2. Stage 2 is the stage of silent resentment. This is where things actually start hurting in the marriage as well, where you express your needs but it is dismissed, or your partner express what she wants and you don't know how to meet her, so you avoid the communication altogether. And at first there are conversation, but then there is reminders and then there is silence. And one or the other partner actually eventually stops bringing things up because they feel like, what's the point, right? Nothing is going to change anyways. But this is the slow beginning of resentment in your marriage. Anytime resentment or contempt enters the relationship, that is the beginning of the slow death of the relationship. Because this person truly has lost faith in your ability to actually take care of their needs. It could be you or it could be your partner as well. Most of the times, what I see happening in a relationship stages, women are the ones who are more in control, but in the marriage stage as well, it's usually the women always complaining against the man. And oftentimes, what happens is both the man and the woman have dysregulated nervous system. The man feels not good enough for her. No matter what he does, he is not respected, and the woman feels that her needs are not being met, most importantly her emotional needs too, because the relationship from both your sides is very functional. You guys do not know how to build a deep bond with each other. Deep bond requires vulnerability in a relationship, and when you both cannot be vulnerable with each other but all you know is how to be defensive and snap at each other, that's going to be a deal breaker eventually. Now, here's a question that most of you would not like, but sit down and reflect on it. What are your needs that you have given up in this relationship, thinking that it's not going to be met any which ways? And how has that affected you? And also, how has it affected your perception of your partner and the relationship as a whole? Stage 3 is polarization and the beginning of the sex problem, where the physical intimacy slowly starts dying down. There is a quote which goes like, men hold the key to marriage, whereas women hold the key to sex. And this is very true. Trust me, when a woman does not feel emotionally safe with you, she is going to eventually start withholding sex from you, because sex works in two different ways for a man and a woman. A man doesn't need to feel emotionally safe with a woman, but on the other hand, a woman needs to feel emotionally safe to even initiate physical intimacy with the man as well. So eventually, when her basic survival needs are not being met in the relationship, she starts withholding intimacy. Now, when I say survival needs, I'm not putting the ball in your court. Maybe she needs something and she doesn't know how to ask you. Maybe you're giving her a lot of things, but you're not giving her what she needs, whereas you are doing all the other stuff that she probably does not need. Most of the time, what I see is the man is claiming that he's taking care of everything. The house is functional, the house is running. But what the woman complains is he is not giving her time in the marriage. He is not able to meet her. And this also happens due to the lack of novelty in the relationship. Think about your dating stage. If you were dating before your marriage, didn't you go out on dates? Has those habits eventually stopped over a period of time? Maybe did you get her flowers in the beginning of the relationship and you stopped doing that because the relationship is kind of logged in? Anytime you stop putting in the efforts which you actually put in the beginning of the relationship, the woman picks that up. And oftentimes the resentment also slowly starts building. And we get it, like everyone has a busy life, but this is something I see happening in the relationship all the time. And another thing is, she is not able to feel you lead in the relationship too. This happens when you are not connected to your masculinity, when you are not able to also lead yourself in your personal life. Self leadership is a quality that is very important from a man's side in a relationship, because if you want your woman to be in her feminine and also enjoy physical intimacy as well, this is one thing you would have to work on a little bit. And this is the stage where one person starts pursuing, trying to initiate conversations, where the other person starts pulling out because they feel like, their needs were never met and it's rather safe to be quiet than express their needs. This is the part where the avoidance and the distance also kicks in. So let me ask you another question as well. When you engage in physical intimacy with your wife, does it feel like you're getting to know her better? Does it feel like it's improving the connection? Or does it feel like it's forced? Because sex in the marriage is not something that actually disappears overnight. It disappears when there is a slow erosion of safety. And in all honesty, men do not need emotional intimacy to engage in physical intimacy. Yes, it would be amazing to have that. Whereas women need that emotional intimacy in a marriage to have sex. And this is why she starts withholding sex. And this is the beginning of the end of physical intimacy. Stage 4 is emotional disengagement and the end of physical intimacy altogether. Stage 4 is where the heart completely exits the relationship, and on the other side, the physical intimacy stops completely altogether. And this stage is where there is emotional disconnection as well as physical disconnection as well. One of the partner most of the time in this stage has completely checked out from the relationship, and this is actually the beginning of the end. And one partner in this stage has already started grieving the relationship internally, whereas the other partner has not even realized that the grieving process has started. So let me ask you another question. Do you know if your partner has emotionally checked out from the relationship? Or have you emotionally checked out from the relationship as well? Because at this stage, usually the fights even completely stop. Not because things get better, because one or the other person sees no point in even communicating or having a fight. And anger is actually replaced with indifference. And when indifference enters the marriage or the relationship, usually that is the last warning. Stage 5 is the exit, collapse, and the end of the relationship and the marriage altogether. Most of the people say that, oh, it happened all so suddenly. But did it really happen all so suddenly? Or was this in the process since the last many years? Marriages requires work. It requires effort. Think about you starting a business. If you stop putting in work into the business, won't it eventually fail? But what happens on the other side? We take marriage for granted, right? Because we think we shouldn't put any kind of effort. And we feel that dating the other person is not required. in the process of being married. Somewhere from being lovers, you end up being roommates in this whole process where you both go so far away from each other. And this was always coming because divorce doesn't happen because of one big fight. It happens because thousands of fight which were never solved. So it was a process of where things were piling up on top of one another until one fine day one person called it quits, or they just distanced themselves because they didn't see any point. And this is the stage where you both start having parallel lives running to each other. Maybe there is infidelity also involved in it, where the one or the other person could be cheating. It could be you, it could be your partner as well. And some couples decide to get divorced, whereas some couples they actually end up staying emotionally single while still being with the other person. And regret doesn't come when things are bad. Regret comes in when the distance actually becomes irreversible. And stage 4 and stage 5 is very hard to get out of. So let me ask you another important question. At what stage did you wish you started taking this marriage and the problems seriously? And if you find yourself in any of these stages, and if you want to work with me, get coached by me, you can reach out to me through Instagram, DM me the keyword coach so that I know you're reaching out to book a session with me. In fact, I'm also willing to work with the female partner as well. So if you want to work on this together with your wife, you're more than welcome to. And if you want to get any courses in order to build your masculine energy, confidence, you will find the link in the description box below. Now, to wrap this video up, I want to tell you guys one last thing. If you are in stage 1 and if you are in stage 2, there is still a lot of hope, provided that you stop dismissing your feelings and you start taking this seriously. If you are in stage 3, understand that awareness alone is not going to dissolve your problems. Just because you know what is going on in the connection and you're aware of what the patterns are doesn't mean that the work is done. Reversing this stage requires immense amount of work. It requires a lot of courage. It requires a lot of vulnerability between two people. You also cannot clap with one hand. You need to clap with two hands. So both people need to have that mindset of reversing these stages. If you are in stage 4, healing is hard, but it is possible. You still have a chance of saving this relationship, even though it's very minimal. And if you are in stage 5, then you need to seriously be understanding what went wrong in the marriage so that you don't repeat this again the next time. And most people don't fail in relationships because they fall out of love, because they stop putting in efforts, they stop understanding what the other person's needs are. And the bigger mistake I see happening is you love the other person the way you want to be loved. You love the other person assuming, hey, this is what is good for her, but you don't understand what is actually good for her. And same with her too. She loves you the way she wants to be loved, and she doesn't understand what your needs are too. So if you felt very uncomfortable during this video and felt like things are doomed, trust me, it's all a learning process, but this is a sign for you to start taking actions before consequences come into the door. So I hope this video was helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next one.